Anaheim and San Jose.
Yeah.
Let's just wrap up talking about those two teams. The one thing that I want to say, and we'll go to Anaheim first, that I just wanted to mention is I'm very disappointed in the production from Trevor Zegras this year. It's tough to see, man. This is a guy who had back-to-back 60-plus point seasons. And this year, everyone expected him to break out. And it just hasn't happened. And we don't necessarily know why, but something's got to give there, man.
Well, and now with the Cutter Gauthier acquisition for Jamie Drysdale, I mean, you kind of start to wonder about the future of Trevor Zegras in Anaheim. Let's not forget that Pat Verbeek didn't select this player. From what we've heard from Frank Saravalli and other hockey insiders, it was a very tough negotiation this summer between Zegras and the Anaheim Ducks. He only gets that 3-year deal. Really, really tough season for him. Now he's injured, obviously isn't really hasn't really grasped the defensive part of the game. He's got all the talent in the world, no question. But yeah, it's been tough sledding for Zegras in Anaheim, and I just wonder what the future is there. But look, for this Ducks team, like, it is disappointing in another way because they started the year 9-6. I think they won six or 7 in a row. They've won 6 games since then. 6. Yeah. Since that 9-6 start. And here we are halfway through the season. They get shut out the other night in Washington. And, it's just, again, it was a year of early optimism, but this team is just so young and inexperienced, especially on the back end. And I really feel for a guy like Cam Fowler because so much has been put on him for the last couple of years. But look, it's such a bright future, especially on the back end and up front. Really good numbers from a guy like Mason McTavish this season. And Frank Vetrano as well has had a really great year for Anaheim. Lucas Dostal looks like the goalie of the future. Going back to the blue line, Pavel Minchikov has been a nice surprise as one of the top rookies this season. I think Adam Henrique will get dealt at the deadline. There should be a lot of interest around him. He's having a good season, but yeah, disappointing the way that the Ducks have gone here after what was a really great start under Greg Cronin. But again, just another year for this Ducks team to stockpile some more picks and prospects and continue to move this rebuild forward. And they're going to have another high pick here in this draft. And that's kind of all I have on the Ducks, man.
Yeah, well, just as I'm listening to you talk about, the Ducks here, I'm doing some more research because Trevor Zegras is stuck in my head. And I just wanted to bring it back to him for a quick second.
Yeah. Through
20 games, he has just 7 points. 4 goals, 3 assists. He's playing 17-20 on average a game. That's second, that is potentially first line minutes depending on the allocation. So he's playing top 6 minutes consistently. He has 7 points in 20 games played. Now, like you mentioned, he's injured. Dude, he's on pace for less than 30 points in a season with that pace. But I just want to reiterate, this is so shocking because going into this season, he signs his deal. Everyone was sort of saying that it was a bit of a shocking low ball deal that was signed, because if you look at some of the other players in his draft class who got bigger deals, he has more points at the NHL level than a lot of those guys. So, going back to 2019, here's some of the top players in that draft. Jack Hughes, number 1. Obvious best player, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
But then there's Dylan Cousins, 7th overall. Matt Boldy, 12th overall. Cole Caulfield, 15th overall. And Trevor Zegras, 9th overall. And of course, then there's Capo Caco. He's in there too. Kirby Doc, and there's the 2 and 3 picks. But of all of those players from that 2019 draft, currently only one has more points than Trevor Zegras, and it's Jack Hughes.
Yeah,
a literal game-changing franchise center, Jack Hughes. He's the only player from that draft who has more points than Trevor Zegras, yet players like Dylan Cousins, Matt Boldy, and Cole Caulfield all got more money, and they're all, having, for the most part, better seasons. And it's just a shame to look at. It's a bit of a fall off for a season, and for Zegras and the Ducks, you hope that it doesn't last. It's just, to me, it's shocking going into the season, expecting so much and being given so little. So I just it's on my mind. I just had to continue with that thought.
No, obviously, I get it, man. I forgot to mention a guy like Leo Carlson. I mean, he's obviously going to be a huge part of the Ducks' future and second overall pick in the last draft behind Connor Bedard. But yeah, I really wonder, and I think we're going to start to hear more as we get closer to the draft. I think we're going to hear more and more about Trevor Zegras possibly being shipped out of Anaheim, because I just don't think he's a Pat Verbeek kind of guy. You look at those other three guys down the middle: Chad, Carlson, Cutter Gauthier, Mason McTavish. They're all big. They play a two-way game. They're Pat Verbeek kind of guys. And I just don't know with Zegras. But it's too bad, because he was coming off a couple of decent seasons, 60 points each or whatever. And then I just think the off-season negotiation and how it dragged on, and only getting a bridge deal and coming in with more expectations and everything, I think it maybe just got to him a little bit. And now he's injured. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Zegras. And look, I would think that there would be a ton of other NHL teams that would take a flyer on this guy, because
100%.
He has all the talent in the world. Absolutely.
In fact, if he hits the trade block, he is already a Montreal Canadian, because that's exactly the player that Montreal loves. They love a project who has high upside. So there you go.
And we've heard Kent Hughes say yet again that he 100% is willing to trade assets to bring in a young player with offensive upside who needs a new opportunity. He's done it twice already with guys like Kirby Doc and Alex Newhook. And, Doc is injured, obviously, this year and hasn't played, but it was looking pretty good. And I think it's going to be good for a player like that and for a player like Alex Newhook. So, yes, absolutely. Montreal, I think, is the destination for Zegras if he gets dealt. So we'll have to see there. But